You know, local history is usually hidden away behind locked doors or, let's be honest, pretty steep ticket prices. But today we're flipping that script. Welcome to this explainer where we are shining a massive spotlight on the Groveland Historical Society and Museum of Florida. Whether you're a longtime resident, a dedicated member, a friend of the society, or just stopping by for the first time, we're going to explore exactly how this incredible community hub preserves our city's story. We'll look at the structure, the accessibility, and the absolute vital role you play in keeping local heritage alive. Because really, understanding how a local museum operates gives us all a blueprint for how any town can safeguard its memories. It's a fascinating look at the nuts and bolts of preservation, and as you'll see, it's not just about dusty old artifacts, it's entirely about community identity.
Okay, check out that big, bold zero. That right there represents a total removal of the usual barriers to entry because admission to the Groveland Historical Museum is completely 100% free. When we think about accessing history, there's almost always a financial hurdle, right? Usually in the form of hefty ticket prices or mandatory memberships. But by removing that pressure, the museum is sending a really powerful message. Local history belongs to everyone. It literally doesn't matter if you're a local family looking for a Saturday outing, a student working on a project, or just a tourist passing through town. The doors are wide open. It's an absolutely crucial strategy to ensure our heritage stays accessible, democratizing history in a way that honestly a lot of larger institutions really struggle to pull off.
Now let's talk about when you can actually drop by, because their schedule is so deliberately woven right into the community's natural rhythm. Beyond the standard Saturday hours of 1 to 3 p.m., they intentionally throw their doors open during Groveland's second Friday markets from 5 to 9 p.m. and during major city events right over at Lake David Park. Instead of making you go out of your way, the museum meets you where you already are. If we're downtown celebrating, shopping, just hanging out at the park, the museum is right there ready to welcome us in. And hey, if those times still don't work for you, they actually offer the flexibility to set up a special appointment. It's seriously a masterclass in community integration. History isn't isolated from daily civic life here, it's right in the middle of it.
And that integration highlights a core philosophy they have. A museum shouldn't just be some dusty, static storage unit. Displays here are actively and consistently updated. It's a deliberate strategy to remind past visitors that, hey, history is constantly being uncovered, meaning there's always something completely new to see. It's so easy for locals to think, well, I visited the small town museum once, I've seen the whole shebang. But by constantly rotating exhibits and pulling fresh artifacts out of the archives, you've always got a compelling reason to go back. They treat history as a dynamic, living narrative, not a closed book. It shows a real commitment to keeping the space feeling alive, relevant, and totally worthy of your ongoing exploration. So you might be wondering, how exactly does a free museum sustain itself? Well, it operates as a joint project between the City of Groveland and the Historical Society. And crucially, the society functions as a 501c3 nonprofit agency. What does that actually mean for us in practical terms? It means that without ticket sales to rely on for steady revenue, their survival, literally their ability to keep the lights on and maintain those freshly updated displays, relies entirely on tax-deductible donations from the public alongside support from the city. It's definitely a delicate balancing act. They provide this completely free service to the community, which means they're really trusting that we'll value it enough to voluntarily fund it. It's a beautiful mutual dependence between the institution and the people it serves.
Because they rely so heavily on that public backing, keeping the doors open takes actionable support. And that basically takes three clear forms. First up, contributing tax-deductible financial donations. Whether it's just a few bucks or a larger grant, this direct financial injection is what fuels the daily operations. Second, volunteering. You know, a local historical society takes an incredible amount of sheer manpower. It takes dedicated volunteers to organize the archives, guide the visitors, plan those alignment events we talked about, and just manage the facility. Giving your time is honestly just as valuable as writing a check. And third, buying stuff directly from the museum shop. It's a fantastic, tangible way to give financial support, plus you get to take a little piece of history home with you. Together, these three steps are the absolute lifeblood of the museum.
But funding and volunteering, that's really only half the equation. They also need the actual history. The museum considers the history of Groveland a total work in progress, and they're actively putting out calls to the public. If you've got photographs, family memorabilia, or forgotten stories about the Groveland area, they explicitly want you to contact them. They want to add your family's legacy straight into the archives. I love this approach to curation. It transforms us from just passive consumers of a pre-written story into active historians. You literally have the power to shape what future generations learn about the city. It really hits the nail on the head. History isn't just about famous figures. It's built from the everyday lives and memories of the people who actually lived here.
To keep this whole collaborative project organized, the museum maintains a super active digital footprint.
Beyond your standard updates on Facebook and Instagram, which, by the way, are vital for sharing visual histories and event reminders, their use of Nextdoor is a perfect example of their hyperlocal focus. Nextdoor is specifically designed for neighborhood chatter, right? So it's the absolute ideal platform to keep neighbors plugged into the event calendar, push out newsletters, or broadcast their latest call for specific memorabilia. It lets the museum speak directly to the folks living right within the city limits, fostering this incredibly tight-knit relationship with the immediate community. By tapping into these platforms, they're ensuring that the conversation about our local history is happening right on our screens every single day.
And that hyperlocal, friendly focus culminates perfectly in their signature sign-off. Thank you for stopping by. Y'all come back, now you're here. It's just a distinctly Floridian, totally unpretentious sentiment that captures their vibe perfectly. They don't operate as some intimidating, heavily guarded fortress of rare artifacts. No, they're just welcoming neighbors who are genuinely pumped to share their home story. That phrasing totally strips away the stuffy formality you sometimes get at historical institutions. It reinforces that the museum is simply an extension of the community itself, just a comfortable, familiar place where everyone is invited to gather, learn, and contribute. They are legitimately looking forward to seeing every single visitor, which brings us right back to that open-door policy we talked about at the start.
So that brings us to one final question. We've seen exactly how this nonprofit relies on the public to literally crowdsource its archives. The survival of local history entirely depends on people like us recognizing the value of our own past. So what memories or photographs do you have sitting in a shoebox or up in the attic that could add to Groveland's history? Or really your own town's history? History isn't just something that happens to other people. It's the photos in your albums and the stories your family tells around the dinner table. I challenge you to reach out to your local historical society, get involved, and help preserve those memories before they fade. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and hey, keep exploring the history around you.